Joining me now is one Republican who actually does mean what he says, and says what he means. Congressman Louie Gohmert from Texas. How you doing, sir?
As far as I know, Andrew, I'm okay. A little bit depressed, but I'm recharging.
Well, here's the thing. John Boehner is already folding. I know you're a member of the caucus, but Chuck Schumer's mocking him in the Hill newspaper. They're basically saying this guy's going to cave in. All bills for raising revenue start in the House of Representatives. Here's my Constitution. So if the Speaker of the House...
Well, that was until Obamacare.
Yeah, right.
That was until Obamacare. That originated in the Senate. They took a bill that was for first-time home buyers who were veterans, armed forces, and to give them a tax credit. They stripped out every word of the bill, including the title eventually, and substituted therein Obamacare, left only the number. That did not originate in the House. I was urging the Speaker, let's do a bill, and I was being urged by some lawyers involved. You get a resolution from the House of Representatives that says it was this, according to the House, did not arise in the House. All it has is our number. But it didn't get raised at the Supreme Court. We didn't do the resolution. We should have. But there are too many people that think, you can just skip the Constitution. Let me tell you this, too, about the debt ceiling bill you were talking about, Andrew. It's not like what has happened was a surprise that the super committee did not reach an agreement. I was out there saying, as soon as I found out about the bill, the super committee's never going to reach an agreement because... And I was told, oh, yes, they will. I said, well, first of all, you never put your national security on the table as a chip. And I said, no. The super committee will reach an agreement because if they don't, Medicare will be cut. I'm going, are you kidding? Obamacare cut Medicare $700 billion. So the only way in 2012 they'll be able to run a commercial against us saying that we're cutting Medicare is if they keep that committee from reaching an agreement. And that way they'll say, see, they want to help their rich friends instead of help seniors. And when they're the ones that really have done the harm. I was assured that wouldn't happen. I was right. They were wrong. I sound like Andrew now. But when it comes to caving, actually you can look back at the CR in March of a year and a half ago. You can look at the debt ceiling bill. And each time before our Speaker sat down, and I know among Republican leaders in the House and Senate, there's this fear that if there is a shutdown, if there's a big showdown, Republicans will lose big. They'll lose everything But the fact is, and Trent Frank said this real well once. He said, I just know this. When two people sit down to a table to negotiate, and one of them says, under no conditions will I get up from this table till I have an agreement, that guy will lose the negotiation every time, and that's what we've been doing.
Well, here's the thing. Does the Congress or Obama even have a plan that after they raise taxes and there are fewer people earning high incomes because they either park their money elsewhere, God forbid a Swiss bank account, or they leave the country altogether, like one of the founders of Facebook, they can promise to raise taxes on people for the purpose of wealth redistribution. They can't promise that the wealth is going to come into government.
Well, and you add this to that scenario, one other option. When you have this ridiculous bill that the president's talking about doing, and you kill the economy and more people lose their jobs, there is nothing to pay tax on like there was if we had a real plan. Let me just lay out some of the things that could be part of a real plan, some things that we've been talking about. First of all, one of the things that Speaker Boehner led us to do in the House and really kind of forced it on the House was that we were all cutting our budgets. The House budgets were all being cut by 5% a year and a half or so ago, and then 6%, just over 6% last year. So in 2 years, we cut our budgets in the House over 11%. That hadn't made news, and what I kept saying is, this is a drop in the bucket. Now, unless we use this as moral authority to say, listen here, every federal department in the government, we just cut ourselves over 2 years over 11%. You're going to do that now. It's happening now. We did it. You can do it. If we don't use that as moral authority, then it's a meaningless gesture. We could do that. We would net over $1 trillion. That would have done what the super committee wanted. If we just stop the automatic increases every year, we passed it out of the House in February. The Senate needs to pass it. We could make that an election issue by by passing it in the House and then just continue to ram it. I urge Paul to hammer that fact against those possibly vulnerable senators that they were not on board with eliminating the automatic increase in every federal department's budget. That would get us over $1 trillion over 10 years. There's a whole bunch of things we could do. And you remember back in 2008, Pelosi was Speaker, Reid was head of the Senate. They put together a joint budget, and nobody complained that America was not spending enough money under the Pelosi-Reid budget. But it was $1 trillion less a year than what we're doing now. Why can't we just announce, you know what, that liberal budget in 2008 under Pelosi and Reid, that's this year's budget. That's what we're doing. Boom, $1 trillion a year off the budget. There are easy fixes. People keep talking about how hard it is. No, just take a stand and do the right thing, and it will work out. But let's don't mamby-pamby around, oh, gosh, we may need to do this. No, just stand up and say, this is what we're going to do.